Hey, it's Elisa, the Half Asian Tarot Queen, back to do another reading. It's pretty crazy what's been going on in the world, and I mean, I feel like there's definitely been this movement in the collective consciousness ever since coronavirus. I mean, there was this period of reflection, and we're kind of like all starting to re-engage, this new world order from a different place. And there's been a lot of clashes and a lot of tension ever since that happened. And I think it's really interesting. I mean, the whole issue of race is obviously a huge thing that's happening, and the tension that's erupting with that, because I think when there's uncertainty in the world, I mean, historically, race always becomes an issue, because it's just like things roll downhill, in a way. I mean, this is historically what happens, but like, it's crazy because the fight's now moved to Seattle, and interestingly enough, because if you've been watching, it's like, it started in Minneapolis, in the neighborhood that I lived in, where I had my vegan cheese shop for, ever. And now it's moved to Seattle, which is incidentally where I lived before that, in my 20s, and where I, kind of broke my teeth in this food business. And it's not lost on me, I'm mixed race. So in case you weren't aware, I'm half Japanese, half American. And, I think when you're young and you're going through all these things, it's just sort of like, you're not necessarily responding to the world from a conscious place, but I think as a person with mixed race heritage, I think people kind of go through these issues of belonging and not feeling like you belong. And it's not lost on me that these two neighborhoods where this fight is just sort of like being rooted are places where I felt a certain sense of belonging, going through that. So I don't know where that came from, but it probably has something to do with the reading. So anyways, what's that? Okay, so anyways, the cards. So at the bottom of the deck, we have the Earth Keeper. And so, I mean, this is kind of what it sounds. I mean, it's sort of taking the mantle and the responsibility for the stewardship of the earth, and I think this really speaks to what's going on in the world right now. I mean, there's so much chaos, and it's like, in a beautiful way, like one beautiful result of this is that I think people are taking ownership of what's wrong and dedicating themselves to how we can create a better world for ourselves. And that's kind of the message of this card. I mean, in Minneapolis, I think a lot of people are really inspired to come together as a community and build better, more functional models, for how we can work together, and I mean, that's one example. I mean, for me, I'm kind of away from my communities now, because I've taken on the responsibility of caring for my mom. She's 82, she has dementia, and so I've gotten really into gardening and cooking and caring for my mom and health and wellness, and also, in the meantime, like, I want to get back to my cheese making, when that opportunity opens up for me, so I'm like working on kind of pushing what I did in the last incarnation to the next level, but developing that in the background as I'm caring for these earthly responsibilities that we're all being confronted with, But the other cards, it's interesting. So we've got the Sun, Taming the Wind, and the Coyote. So I feel like this is a really interesting combination. And again, these cards just blend together in this beautiful way. But the Sun, I mean, this is a card about showing up, showing up for your moment, you know, it's out there for you, you know, but it's like, it's not going to happen if you're just like not showing up, you know, like hold away, like, and nobody knows you're around, you know, like we have to show up, you know, like the world is in chaos, and it's up to us, you know. It's interesting that like this conflict erupted for me like right when I was talking about that. But yeah, this is a card of like showing up and like letting your voice be heard, you know. I mean, I feel like that's happening with a lot of people. It's like nobody's interested in supporting the status quo anymore. Like people are restless and ready for change, and they're showing up, and they're like, I mean, it's really beautiful because I feel like people are kind of taking the mantle and they're being empowered, you know, to like get involved, which is good. And then, which leads right into the next card, which is Taming the Wind. And this is a card of co-creating, you know, and it's a card of being in alignment with your highest good and with the universe, and like co-creating, you know, outcomes. And I think, you know, one of the things about manifestation is like when you're co-creating and in alignment with the highest good, it's like you put your intention out there, but you kind of have to, I mean, part of the process is you have to let go of it too, you know, and you have to trust that the universe is going to work on it in the best possible way. And like when you are totally driven by your ego and you like are locked into a certain attachment to an outcome and you won't see it any other way, it's like you actually just snuff out the whole manifestation process, you know. And so this is just a kind of like reminder. It's like we have to show up and we have to have good intentions and we have to be in alignment with the highest good, but we also have to be strong and let go of them too, and trust and have faith that things are going to work out, you know. And then we have the Coyote, which it leads perfectly into the Coyote, which is, it's all about trusting life's detours, you know. Like sometimes things might not immediately work out how you wanted or how you thought you wanted, but actually in the end they're going to work out. I mean, like in the reading that I just did, which I think this might be related to, is called Cashing in Your Chips at the Bank of Karma. You know, when I was talking about having to give this sacrifice to the universe and let things manifest, you know. And for me, it's just like my dream of being a vegan cheesemaker, and it's like I had to kind of put everything on hold in service to like this family situation. And you know, that was really hard for me, but like that's part of co-creation, is like not being attached to an outcome and knowing, you know, internally, like that's what I was supposed to be doing, you know, like, and then, you know, getting this confirmation later, because it's just like I closed down my cheese shop right before my father passed away, and that's like basically where all the riots and the fires happened, and it's like all burned up now. And you know, and meanwhile, like I came here, I was gonna go overseas to work this job in Switzerland, but like I had to take care of my mom, you know, because my father was her caretaker and he passed away. And so I didn't make the train, you know, for that gig, and that was really heartbreaking for me. But then, you know, a couple weeks after that happened, like this whole COVID thing broke out and changed the world, you know, and like the job was on the border of Switzerland and northern Italy, so like it wouldn't have worked out anyways, you know. So it's like trusting in life's detours. It's like I'm not where I thought I was going to be, but like at the same time, like all these things keep magically working out, and like I keep getting these confirmations and these coincidences, knowing that I'm where I'm supposed to be, you know. So it's like show up, co-creating, and trust in life's detours, you know, because things are definitely changing right now in a profound way for everyone. I do want to mention, I'm going to be getting to this deck shortly, but we are doing a giveaway for the month of June, and I'm giving away the Muse Tarot deck to one lucky person. So I'm going to put a link to the video describing how to enter, because it's very easy. And my friend Brooke from Minneapolis won last month's drawing, and she got the Starseed Oracle, which we'll end with. So, okay, so I'm going to Ethereal Visions to get some overall energies for the reading, and at the bottom we have the Ace of Swords. So this is like a new beginning in like truth and clarity, you know, I mean, like for sure that's coming out. Like there's all this light being shown on these, you know, situations that have been kind of like in the dark for a long time. You know, for example, you know, just having lived in both of those neighborhoods, in Capitol Hill and also in Powderhorn in Minneapolis, it's like crazy because it's like people are far away from each other, but like the bizarre antics that have been going on are like the same. You know, like people from out of town coming in with like unmarked plates, like tearing things up, starting fires, destroying things, and just kind of like hijacking the message, you know, and trying to make it be about something else. And it's bizarre. It's bizarre, but it's wild times that we're in for sure. Okay, so at the bottom we have the Sun, which is the best card in the deck. You know, this is like happiness, abundance, fertility. You know, it's everything. And it's like, this is at the bottom of the deck, so it's like, despite all this chaos, it's just like, this is kind of like what's in our hearts, like what we're going towards, you know. We have the Three of Wands, the Moon, and the Page of Wands. So this is really interesting, because this is a card of like manifestation and seeing off in the distance, you know, like what we're trying to bring in. It's like we're showing up and we're manifesting, we're trying to co-create, you know, and then under this co-creating card we have the Moon, which this is a card of like emotion and the whole emotional realm, which I think is interesting because, like, I mean, that is the realm where we create things, you know, like the stronger your emotion is that you have attached to something, like the more power you have to manifest it. I mean, that when you direct your emotions in the most positive way, like that's what happens, you know. I mean, sometimes we can like not be in alignment with our emotions and like hijack our power, you know, but when we're in alignment with our highest good, you know, we can let go of outcomes because, you know, our power is just in how clear our intention and our emotion is being put out into the world, you know, which is like, I feel like that it's a confusing message to learn, you know, but when you do, it's just like, whoa, it's like this huge awakening, you know, which leads right into this Page of Wands, which is just like a new spark or like new way of looking at things, you know. So it's just sort of like realizing our power, like we're like showing up now, you know. I mean, it is kind of beautiful because I think, you know, there's a tendency when, like, I'm going to the Muse to clarify on what's going on, when the world around us seems like really messed up and we're just like, you know, I think initially people's reaction is just to disengage and be cynical, because it's just like, well, what can I do about this? Like, this is just so messed up. It's just so far beyond anything that I have the power to do. But, like, you know, things that have gotten so bad that, like, everyone's emotions are engaged, you know. And the beautiful thing about that is that, like, now we're showing up, you know. We're showing up in whatever way we can, because we have more power than we realize. This fell out right when I was saying that. Justice, which is a card of karma. So, it's a difficult moment, and I was talking to one of my friends today, and I was just like, yeah, there's like, this is like so crazy restless. Like, I mean, I've seen a lot of restlessness in my life, and, you know, I've definitely haven't been living in a hole, you know, but this is like the most restless the world has been since I've been alive, you know, like this is a big change that we're going through. At the bottom we have the Eight of Materials. So this is, you know, in the traditional deck, it's a card of a craftsman. You know, this person's got 8 arms. They're busy. They're working on things, you know, and that's kind of going on. I mean, we're all showing up and we're like ready to like roll up our sleeves and like make things happen because we're not satisfied with how things have been, you know. So we've got the Justice, we've got the Hanged Muse, and we've got the Priestess. So this is interesting because this is a card of like karma and wrongs being righted. We're trying to manifest justice, you know, because we're not satisfied with, you know, it's like no justice, no peace. So we're working on change. And then we have the Hanged Muse, you know, so this is like the Hanged Man and the traditional card, you know, and this is like kind of being turned upside down, but taking a step back and looking at the world like, you know, how can we change this, you know? But this is also a card of sacrifice and having to make sacrifices to bring in this change. Like, I think people have gotten so fed up that they're ready to you know, make the sacrifices. You know, people's emotions are so engaged now that we're ready to get involved again, you know. And then we have the Priestess, which this is like a card of manifestation and power, you know, and it's like this new spark, you know. We've embraced the detour and we're looking at the world from a new perspective, and we're ready to engage. And then on the next, we have the Two of Voices, we have the Ten of Materials, and we have the Star, which is interesting because the Two of Voices is often a card of dissonance and a card of stalemate and just like getting pulled in different directions. But it fell right under this Justice and this manifestation card and this showing up. Like, yeah, like what's going on? It's not right. Like, it's not okay. And like, we're not willing to settle for that, you know? And so we have the Ten of Materials, which is a card of abundance. Like, it's a card of generational wealth. It's a card of, you know, having your abundance. You know, you have all your blossoms. You have your family around this tree. They're all taken care of. And it's like, this is what we're trying to create. Like, we're not going to settle for what we've settled for before, you know, and we're willing to make the sacrifice that it's going to take to bring this in, you know. This is a new beginning. It's a new world order. And we have a Star, this card of wishes coming true, and a card of healing, which is beautiful. We're manifesting this healing, and we're manifesting wishes coming true, coming into the world from this new perspective. But it was like this huge detour that inspired this change of course, and now it's kind of like brought the whole world into a certain focus, which is really amazing. I'm going to pull 3 more cards from Ethereal Visions to get some guidance about how we're going to move through this moment, because it's a pretty crazy moment that we're going through. And I mean, I think it's like it's like a make or break moment, you know. I mean, we're not messing around. Like, these are big, deep changes, and we got the Hierophant. So this is like making a commitment, you know. We're committing to this new change, you know. And we've got the Three of Swords. We've got the Six of Cups. And we've got the Four of Pentacles. So, I mean, this is interesting because it fell on top of all the dissonance and, you know, the Justice card. And it's just like everyone's hearts are broken by what's happened. I mean, it's just like, you know, this innocent man was killed in the streets. I mean, it's not okay, you know. this dissonance isn't okay. Like, we need justice. Like, we need this to be righted. And, like, we're not going to settle for this situation, you know? And then we have the Six of Cups, which is this, like, almost like a deep soulmate love from the past. So it's just, like, I feel like everybody's kind of, like, re-engaging with their people, you know? Because it's just, like, what's going on? Like, this isn't okay. Like, we're ready to, like, make the sacrifice to create this community for ourselves and the people we care about, you know? We're ready to re-engage those people. Like, we're not okay with just, like, going through the motions anymore. Like, it's like bringing what's important into focus for everyone. And then we have the Four of Pentacles, which this is often a card of, like, hoarding, and, like, it's a card of, like, resistance, because it's like you're scared to let go of what you have, because you're afraid that if you don't hang on to it, you're going to lose everything. But the irony of this card is that real abundance comes from being in flow and, like, trusting that what you need is going to come to you. So you actually block yourself off from that when you're, like, hoarding, you know. And so it's interesting because that card fell on top of, like, this new perspective and this, like, total card of manifestation and wishes coming true, you know. So it's just like I'm taking this as a cautionary message, you know. Like, we have the power to create our own abundance and healing, but not with this energy. So, like, open up, you know. You got to show up, and you got to let your voice be heard, because we're not going to get there by holding back. Like, this isn't a moment for holding back. This is a moment for showing up and, like, letting your voice be heard. Okay, so I'm going to Starseed Oracle to pick a card to end the reading. But yeah, it's a big moment in time, and there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of anxiety, but there's also a lot of inspiration, and there's a lot of love out there. And, you know, I mean, the beautiful part about it is that we get to pick, each one of us, which channel we want to tune into, you know, and that's what we're going to bring to ourselves. So it's an important thing to remember. I mean, we're more powerful than we realize. Okay, so I'm going to take the card that fell out and the card on the bottom. So we've got Portal, doors are opening, you decide, rewards, wild card. So that's kind of what I was just saying. It's just like there's a fear channel and there's a love channel. Like, they're both playing at the same time, and we get to pick which one we're going to tune into, because there's this new world order that's coming through, and right now is this huge moment of opportunity, because there's this whole new world that's bubbling up out of this, you know, and right now we have the power to pick, you know, where we want to be. And then we have deep cellular healing, Arcturus energy, physical and emotional healing. So it's just like, don't hoard, don't hang on to the past, don't choose the fear channel. Be inspired, be in your power, and your wishes will come true. Like, this is the channel that you want to be on. Okay, I'm going to read the card for deep cellular healing to finish this reading. But, yeah, there's a lot of tumult in the air, and this is a really big moment. So, you know, it's really important to be in our power. Your body knows how to heal. Healing is your natural state. Physical and emotional disharmony can be a reflection of how the world, inner and outer, has been out of alignment. If you're suffering from a mystery or chronic illness, don't allow yourself to think you've done something wrong. Today it's difficult to navigate our health. This card has made its way to you. You're being called to focus on your healing in practical ways, to prioritize your health, to be kind and tender to your miraculous body, to give yourself the grounding and care you need, to put your body first, to nourish yourself as you would a newborn baby, to treat yourself with tender care. You may be called to switch things up with your body or your emotional well-being, to call in a team of helpers to support you in navigating any challenges you may be experiencing emotionally. The Arcturians are a galactic group of beings who have mastered deep cellular and emotional healing. They want you to know that it's possible to feel vibrant in your body and well in your skin, to have your cells return to effervescence and vitality, to find calmness and contentedness, to have a soothed nervous system and a tranquil heart. So, have the faith, keep the faith, and try to find your peace to move through this moment, and be inspired, because there's a whole new world order out there that's happening right now. And, as everything's being torn down, like, there's also this whole new world that's being built out of the ashes of that. So, stay safe and keep the faith, and we'll check in soon.